Hello there everyone, this is Anton Dorsey and today I'm going to be doing What If Asta Was Betrayed by the Black Bull Knights, Part 2. So, I'm going to continue off where I last left off where Asta was going to his room. The members of the Rose Blue Knights were all shocked that they have a team member that can read and speak through thoughts and hear them. And yeah, I figured out a few more abilities of the poison dragon slayer magic. I figure out a few more because of somebody in the comments. He told me that he can hear and speak to them. So thanks to whoever wrote that in the comments. So I'm gonna continue off where I last left it off. So we're gonna start where Asta was coming to his room. Asta went to his room and saw that it was only one room where he usually looked at the other. It was like two people and two. But since this team mostly has the girls, he got his own room as he was laughing in his head, saying, "Wow, I'm the first male in this team, and and they're treating me like a king or something." Then Never talked to him and said, "But don't get too cocky about this." Then he said, "Why would I get cocky about it?" Then Then Asta went into his room and saw that it was a pretty nice room for only him. As Nair then then Asta forgot to tell them about the bird. As he said, "Oh God, I forgot to tell them about you." Then Nair said, "Okay, go tell them now." Then Asta said, "Oh yeah." Then Asta just went off to the living room where his team captain Charlie was at. Then he said to Charlotte, "Hey, team leader, Charlotte, right?" Then she said, "Yes. What do you need?" Then he said, "Oh, I forgot to introduce you to someone. Um, my friend, Never." Charlotte said, "That bird on your head is your friend?" Then Asa nodded and said, "Yes, she's my friend." Then Charlotte said, "What do you mean she?" Then Asa said, "Okay, Never, transform back to normal. You don't have to be in my head all the time." Then Nara just jumped off and turned into a human and said, "But what's the point of not being on your head? It's more comfortable than walking around like this." Then Charlotte was shocked and said, "So you knew this bird was a human, and that's what was always on your head?" Then Asta nodded at her and said, "Yep, she's my friend. So I left her be in my head all the time. But I'm still confused. How can she be in my head all the time while she has a human form? I still haven't gotten used to it." Then Nero said, "You have to get used to it. Nero." And Nasa said, "You don't have to torture me about it." Then, 2 moments later, Charlotte was still processing what he just saw. Then Asta said, "You don't have to worry about it. Everybody has, once in a while, gets confused about what they see for the first time." Then, what Charlotte was thinking in her head, does this kid have more secrets, or is he hiding something? Then Asta read through his mind. No, Asta read through her mind and just looked at her and said, "I have more secrets that I won't tell you. But this one I will tell you." As he randomly showed his wings and said, and his hands went like a dragon. Then he said, "Okay, look, I'm actually half dragon now." Then she was shocked to see that he is half dragon. Then she asked, "How do you became half dragon?" Then also said, "My magic. It's actually half dragon." Uh, Asta was really shocked. No, Charlie was shocked. Then Asta said, "Well, I'll be leaving now. I just wanted to introduce you to Nero, because if I didn't, you might as well find her one day and be confused of who she is. So I'll be speaking to you later." As he put his wings back, he transforming everything around his body off. And one more thing, when Asta goes to his demon form, uh, I am making him, let's say he's not gonna look like a demon. I am literally making him, when he goes to his demon form, he's gonna look like a dragon. And when I mean dragon, I mean like an actual dragon. His full body is gonna have dragon scales. His wings are gonna be out, and he's still gonna have his demon swords, the anti-demon swords, but they're gonna have the purplish aura the poison dragon slayer has. So it's gonna be much powerful than Asta's last form. And when I mean much powerful, I mean much powerful. With the ability that I gave him to walk through time and through time when he pauses it, it's literally gonna be like hit for Dragon Ball, but instead of being able to punch him and kill him, he's gonna be able to walk through time, to walk through space when it's paused, but for only as long as he has enough stamina to do it, he'll be able to train it. So it's gonna be like the world, but in a more OP version. But he's gonna need to train on his stamina to be able to use that technique, and he won't be able to unlock it until his first mission. So yeah, we're gonna go back to the what if. So now we're saying, now that you introduced me to her, can I please go back to your head? Then Asta just face palm in his face and said, "Do you always have to be on my head?" Then she said, "Nope, but I like being up there." As she turned him back to normal and went back to his head and just fell asleep. Asta just was a bit surprised, but just shrugged it off and kept walking. As he reached his room and went to sleep. Then we're gonna go back to. Then we're going to Asta's first mission. We skip to the next morning. Asta was walking through. Let's say Asta was walking, woke up and went down to the kitchen to eat, to make breakfast. Because let's say that Asta learned how to cook because he was no longer in the Black Bulls. He learned how to cook. So yeah, Asta went down to the kitchen, but he forgot one thing. He was shirtless, and he was in a team with a bunch of girls, even a bird that is a girl. But the lucky thing that his that Nero was asleep. That's the lucky thing. As Asta went downstairs to make breakfast for all of them, because all of his team members were still sleeping. As he kept making breakfast for all of them, he put them all on the table and just started to eat. As Charlotte and his other team members woke up and smelled the breakfast, as they saw Asta sitting on the table eating, as he said, "Oh, hi, good morning." When they looked at Asta, they said, "Asta, you're shirtless." Then Asta looked down and was like, "Oh, oh no. Sorry about that." He put out his wings and flew off back to his room and just came back. When Asa was flying up to his room, he started to notice that when he uses wings at maximum speed, time goes slower. And he was as he just took off his wings and walked. He saw that everything was in blue and bluish grayish and a bluish grayish aura as he was walking through it. He was like, "What is this?" As he as he said, "Hey, Nero, do you know what's happening?" He didn't hear Nero answering. I'm gonna pause. Well, sorry about that, guys. If you heard that, that was my grandma. She didn't know I was doing this, so that's pain. So yeah, like I was saying, Asta was grabbed Nero and try to see if if she will answer, but she was frozen. Asta was tapping on her. When Asta reached his room, he grabbed the shirt, put it on, and went back to the kitchen. And went back to the dinner table, to the dining room, I mean. When he got there, he saw that every member of the team was paused. They didn't have any of it. They didn't move or anything. As he sat down and just said, "Stop." The ability went off. Everything went back to normal, and they said, "Asta, how did you get there so fast?" Then Asta said, "I don't know. I really don't know how I got there. I might as well." As Asta said to his and he said, "I might as well have to learn this ability. If I don't, then time would just keep pausing and I'll have to keep moving. But I still haven't figured out how long I'm going to be able to stay in that time world." Then he said, "Nero, do you know what ability I have an ability that means that you can pause time and be walking through it?" Then Nero said, "It's time magic, but you don't have it, do you?" That's also said, "I might as well have an ability that is time magic because when I was flying, time went slower and slower and slower." Maybe it's a new ability that you just unlocked. Then also say, "Yeah, maybe." Then he looked at Charlotte and said, who was blushing a bit, but she just shrugged it off and said, "Well, also, thank you for putting a shirt on. And next time that you wake up to make breakfast, try to have a shirt on." And also said, "No promises, but I'll try." Then they all sat down to eat, and and just went on with their day. So we're gonna skip to when they're training. Asta, their teams were training on their own abilities, but Asta was in the forest training with Nera. As he asked, "Nera, can you try to throw me my boys?" Then he asked Nera, "Can you try to throw me some magic attacks?" As Nera nodded at him and started throwing magic attack at him. As he said, as he yelled out, "Time!" Then out of nowhere, out of nowhere, the magic attacks slowed down. Asta was just walking like hit. Like he had his hands in his pockets, like that. He was walking like that. He kept walking and looked at the attack and just made his hand into his dragon hand, and touched the attacks, making them fly the other way. Like Ultra Instinct, like imagine Ultra Instinct, but in a shorter, less version, not having your hair go white and not having your hair go like that. But it's hit style, but Ultra Instinct combined with it. As they just touched the attacks and they started flowing 6 different ways. As he pointed up, threw the other one left, threw the other one bottom, threw the other one to the right, and threw the other one to the left side where the moon is. As Asa says, "Stop." Everything went back to normal. When Nera looked, she didn't see Asta. As Asta said, "Wow, this magic actually works a lot better than anything I thought." When Nera looked at it, he was right next to her. As he smiled at her and said, "Well, it works better than I think it will be for my." Then Asa started to train on his demon swords, on his demon sword. As he started to work out with his sword on his hand, as he started to swing left and right. And we're gonna say that, oh god, since Asta has much more magic, ugh, I really want to do the first part where Asta had his first mission will be the same as in the anime, but let's see. Yeah, okay. We're gonna say that when Asta was finishing training, he went to the inside to where his team leader Charlie was at. As he asked, "Hey Charlie, do I have any missions?" Then Charlie said, "Yes, your first mission will be to go with the Black Bull team members, and to check in an abandoned tower. Also say, okay, got it. Then also just say, at what time do I get to the Black Bull members' high hot quarters? As she said, you can go right now, and they'll be there waiting for you. Then Asa just nodded at him. Then Asa just nodded at her and said, I'll be back. As he flew off, he opened his wings. Oh, wait a minute. I'm gonna make this even more, a bit more funnier. Then Asa just set time. He paused it and he started to fly. He just went off the door and started to fly. He flew all the way to the Black Bull Night Tech quarters. As he reached, then he reached the Black Bull's headquarters and said stop. Then everything went back to the normal time. Then they saw Asta there and they said, wait, who are you? As he said, Cobra, member of the Rose Blue Knights. They only sent me, so what's up? Giving them a death glare. If they even try to move, they'll die. And remember, this is the same thing as in the anime when they had the test of the Magic Knights. Uh, Yami still brought one of his members with him, so they know who Asa is. So one of them said, "Oh, so you're Cobra, that that weird magic dude who doesn't have a grimoire for his magic. Your magic is really special, right?" Then Asta said, "Don't talk to me. I don't talk to people, so why would I care? And one thing, don't get me mad, don't get me angry, because Asta still remembers what Vanessa did with Yami and them planning it. Then Asta, then Asta looked at Yami and said, so where's the tower at?" Then Yami said, "Well, since you just came back, since you just joined us, the tower is, the tower is, this coordination. The tower is just 100 miles this way, northeast. Keep going that way. Has everyone grab their brooms and start to flow." As they saw Asa was standing there, then Nero said, "Are you gonna just let them leave you behind?" Then Asa said, "Just watch me." He opened his wings and started to fly. As he says, "You guys are slower than anything. You guys are slower than anything I ever seen in my whole life." As he flew faster than lightning. Then they're all like, "Who is he actually?" Then Yami saw that and was confused. How in the heck can he? How in the heck can he do that? But he shrugged it off and left. As they reached the tower, it was the same thing. It was the same team that was in the anime that went to the tower. It was the same team. But just add Asta and looking like the guy in the thumbnail that I have in front of you. So yeah, Asta was a bit shocked. No, not Asta. Nobia Noble. Nobly. Forget about it. Her name is different. I can't say her name. Let's just say the girl from the anime. Simple as that. I can't say her name. My English is horrible today. Okay, yep. So it was the same thing as in the anime. Asta and Zenobia. No, not Zenobia. Too much easy what ifs. So yeah. So they reached the tower. Uh, Everything went like in the anime, but in this one, when they found the guy, the fight went more easier for Asta. So let's go to the fighting scenes. Asta just said, "Leave it to me," cracking his neck. As he took off Nero from his head and gave it to and tell it to turn back to normal. As she turned back to normal, all of them were shocked. Then one of them were about to talk to Nero because they think she was pretty, but she just gave them a death glare that just made them piss their pants. Oh, I imagine a death glare that made you piss your pants. Oh. Yep, and a few moments later, Asta was like, "So, wanna fight, bastard?" As as the fight went normal, Asta was just dodging left and right the attacks of this guy. As he decided to stand up, I'm gonna quick pause. Sorry about the pause, so I'm gonna continue. Asta was just dodging left and right, just yawning, saying, "Oh, is this all you got?" I haven't even gotten a warm up. And as he said, "Well, my turn." He turned his hand into a dragon's hand, as he made a sharp horn and went straight for a punch. As he punched the guy, not going into his full on uh ice creature ice creature kind of thingy. He punched him, sending him flying into a wall. As he said, "Weak." As then he said, "Time." Maybe I want to do some reference. The world. Then everything went past. I'm just gonna name his time ability just the world. So, Jojo Blizzard's about to come to this. As he said, the world. Everything was different. It paused. Asta was walking straight towards the guy that he punched. He looked at him from left and right and said, "So what should I do with you?" He started, and then he put both of his hands into his dragon form, into his dragon scales, as he said. Then he started to do left and right punches with sharp horn. Left and right punches. Like, imagine JoJo Blizzard like that, but JoJo Blizzard Adventures. Imagine that, but the season where they had stands. Imagine that, how many punches he was doing. But times a million. So he was just saying you're useless. He was saying useless the same way Theo did. He was just saying useless. He kept punching him and punching him and punching him and punching him and punching him. But the people that were looking at us couldn't see him. Then they asked Nero, "Do you know?" Because they didn't know her name. As they say, "Hey, excuse me, you little girl." Then she looked at them and said, "I'm not a little girl." Then and then she, then they asked for sorry. We're asking, and the Golden Dawn were there, so that means Yuno was there. Yuno was shocked to see this guy's power, but still. Then then they asked you, "Do you know where us the Cobra guy is at?" She said, "He's in his time world." Then they asked, "What do you mean he's in his time world?" As they said, as she explained, when he says the world, everything passes around him. But to us, we'll only feel it once he says stop. Once we feel the pain, everything will seems like we're normal, but you'll feel the pain after he says stop. So his ability is not like Dio's, but it's different. I'm not making him be like exactly like Dio's. So yeah, Asta just decided to stop punching the guy. As he said, "Stop." Before he said stop, he appeared next to Nero as he said stop. Then Nero looked to her side and said, "So you finally finished fighting him, right?" Then Asta smiled at her. "Yep, I finished." As she turned back to her bird form and went back to his head. Then, then a few moments later, the guy woke up and went into his ice sculpture form. And the part where Asta got his second sword, this will be the part. I'm not making him go to where his first mission was against that guy that had the ice mirrors. So yeah, I'm making him get his second sword here. As Asta got his second anti-demon sword, then he was shocked to see that the second anti-demon sword was lighter. As he grabbed it and went dual wielding with his first sword and his second sword. He started going dual wielding. Then he started to slash left and right, putting more magic into his swords. As he kept turning into a dragon. The more he used his magic, the more his body turned into a dragon. He started to his body started to turn more more pinkish. He started to grow scales like scales as hard as metal. So when the ice attacks were coming at him, it didn't hurt him. Asta started to notice this, and even Nerer, who was in his head still, started to notice this. As Asta decided to just use one sword, as he used his second anti-demon sword. Then he decided to finish this with one slash, as he put almost all of his magic in it, which he has a lot. Which he has a lot. I'm not gonna make him that weak. He has a lot. Then Asta swinged his sword one time, cutting straight through the body of the giant goblin of ice as they exploded. Then Asta went unconscious, leaving the Golden Dawn and the Black Bull's knights to heal him as everything went to the enemy. So when Asta was aside, he woke up. Naren was like crying a bit because Asta was using a lot of magic, but he was exhausted, and he looked at everyone as he saw the Golden Dawn, the Golden Dawn girl. Her name was, I forgot her name. Yeah, maybe next part I might as well find her name. So I'm sorry if you guys, whoever knows the name of the girl that healed Asta on the first season of Black Clover, please tell me. Then Asta got up and said thank you to her as he said, "Well, our mission here is done. I will be leaving. Make sure to," as he said, "I will report this back to my leader. So this is going to be where we separate. Golden Dawn and Black Bulls. Hope you guys don't meet your doom." Giving them a glare as he opened his wings and put Nara on his head and said, "You fall asleep. Thank you for not worrying about me that much." In his head, when she was talking to him, she was blushing, but she said, "Don't think about that again." Then Asta smiled, laughed, and said, "Well, time to go," he said, "the world," as he disappeared in the wind. He literally turned himself into wind just because of seeing the world. When he reaches his headquarters of his team captain, he said, "Well, Captain," he stopped and said, "Time, the world," as everything went back to normal. Then also said, "Well, team leader, I finished the mission. What next?" So this is gonna be a cliffhanger no jutsu. Yep, cliffhanger. Yeah, I'm gonna be leaving it off where Asta went back to his team leader reporting the mission. Bye everyone. Thank you for watching and goodbye.